George earned a bachelor's degree in advertising from UNT in 1991. He had a successful marketing career with brand management and business development roles in top global food companies. In 2012, George's entrepreneurial spirit led him to partner with two friends in the founding of Four Corners Brewing Company. Since then, the brewery has grown exponentially and moved to its beautiful new space at the Cedars in downtown Dallas. Their beers are available nationwide, selling more than 8 million cans per year of their distinctive flavors. George serves as the marketing force behind Four Corners, in addition to his work helping to manage the day-to-day operations of a busy brewery. He also serves on the UNT Alumni Association Board of Directors since 2016. Today, we'll go on a private tour of the brewery and learn more about George's journey from UNT to becoming a leader in North Texas' thriving craft beer scene. So I'm going to get ready for this happy hour. If you can see my cool glasses, I got my beer and we're ready to go. Casey, take it away.
Okay, you're just making me look bad now because I'm not as cool as you. So thank you, Claudia, and welcome, George. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time today. I know you've got a lot going on. So, I want to get right to it. Number one, it's the worst thing to say when you meet somebody that you really, respect and admire, but I'm a huge fan, George. I love the work. I love your beer. And I think we probably account for 1.2 million of those cans sold annually in our household. Not really. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, guys. Don't go crazy. So anyway, we legitimately do enjoy what you create for the public. So thank you for that. But George, we know that you are a UNT alumnus and you started there and got your roots there. So tell us a little bit about what took you to UNT, why you chose UNT, and how you ended up in a brewery.
Yeah, so I was a music student through kind of junior high through high school, and I aspired to be to participate in the jazz studies program at UNT. It really took me there, and it was here in the backyard. I'm a native of Dallas, and so I always knew like there's this powerhouse school, music school, just north of Dallas, and so off I went to go. Try my hand at music and my music career, and quickly realized wow, these people up here are really intense, man. I mean, they're really into their music. They eat it, live it, breathe it. And I really had to stop and think, okay, is that, do I eat it, live it, breathe it? And is it, that intensity? And then, the other side of the coin is okay, can I, do I want to pursue this as a career, or is this my hobby? Is this a hobby? Because, I'm really tired of being poor. And
it's a legitimate sacrifice. Sure.
I really need a steady paycheck,
right.
And I really enjoy that. So those two. But what I figured out was, and it's clear now. It wasn't very clear back then, but what was clear is that I wanted to be in a creative field, whatever that may be. I need creativity. I need a way to be creative. And so what was really appealing in the advertising journalism school was, copywriting and concepting and advertising. And that really got me going. And thanks to the guidance of Dr. Busby, who was just incredibly helpful and helped me kind of just figure that out, just kind of to get to that point. It's you want to be a creative guy. And so that kind of led me down the path. Advertising kind of goes along with marketing. So a minor in marketing was really helpful, and off I went. So I actually worked in advertising for a few years, and then moved over to traditional brand management, working on the brand side of things, and learned a lot. Worked for kind of small to medium-sized companies. There were significant companies, but you get your hands into a lot of stuff in those companies. So it's not very siloed. And with that, emerged with, as you said, it's really Hispanic marketing, marketing food, and kind of those two things combined into a creative endeavor that we took on as really from a hobby to a business. But everything that I ever learned from, I use them all. I mean, every day, just telling a story, copywriting, design, just have a design sense. I don't design, the cans, but no good design when I see it. So it's okay, we need that person to work on our design. So that's how, that's a kind of a really short story of how we got there. But it was highly influential. The advertising journalism really kind of got me on my path.
I also had Dr. Busby's. So, that's pretty cool. I love that we can share that experience. And so I'm really glad that you found your passion in making beer. But you mentioned you've got all of this experience with brands and advertising and marketing. And but what took you to beer? Like, how did you get your start in this?
I was just a big, fan of, so I became a fan of better beer, call it that. Started with better beer. So, there's kind of just beer as we've known it for, call it from, the 70s to the 80s to the 90s. And once I was turned on to kind of better beer, that was, just import beer from, Germany or Belgium. And it was like some of those Belgian ales that really like, okay, wow, this is beer. I've been drinking the wrong stuff this whole time. And, my time at UNT was at the Tomato with, pitchers of beer and pizza, so it's like, that's what I knew was beer. Yeah.
I know.
So that was beer. Okay. It's in a pitcher and it's cold and you kind of swig a lot of it.
And you can afford it.
And you can afford it. But yeah, so I was turned on to just better beer and became it was fascinated. I was fascinated not just by the beer itself, but it was the process and what some of these breweries meant. I mean, some of these, brews from Belgium are brewed by monks. They've been brewed the same way for hundreds of years. And there's a kind of a legacy and a history to it. And that really got me intrigued. Around that same time, this kind of renaissance of beer in America was taking place, and they call it, we know it's craft beer now, but a bunch of regional small brewers across the U.S., sprinkled throughout the U.S., were starting to make their way, and that was really intriguing also because there's a lot of innovation coming from the U.S. So old country European beers have been the same for hundreds and hundreds of years. They're fantastic, but it's when we think about the innovation in the world of beer, it's all, the majority is coming from the United States with brewers who are using, some really innovative ingredients, processes, and just really kind of blurring the lines between what traditional beer has been, and with different iterations of styles, and that really got me intrigued into the American craft beer movement, and what brewery stood for was kind of really important to me, and what their point of view is on beer, what their point of view is in life. And some of them can be really kind of, fun. Some of them are all about innovation. Some of them are, super bro. And, so it's just this, to me, it's like following bands. Each one has their own thing and their iterations of how they interpret, tunes. So that's what really got me interested, and to understand it to a greater degree was okay. Then actually brewing beer at home was kind of the nudge to start brewing at home and just understand it, and did that from 2000 2001 to 2008. And over time, kind of worked the skill and learn the craft, and that's what really got things moving. At the time, around 2008, there were virtually no craft brewers in the North Texas area, and few around the state. I mean, there were a handful. 2008, there were two in kind of the entire metroplex. And marketing wise, it just doesn't make sense. It's a top 5 major metropolitan market. Huge, influx of people from across the U.S. and across the planet here in the DFW metroplex. So I just kind of looked at it and go, like, there's a big gap here of understanding, having the access to localized beer, regionalized beer, craft beer vibe, and all that it adds to the kind of the social fabric in other cities like Denver or Portland, San Diego. And our goal is just like, okay, let's elevate the craft beer culture in our hometown, and however small it may be, it's meaningful. And that's what I took away from some of the breweries that I had visited in years prior to that.
That's really interesting and fascinating. So I know you've mentioned that your partner is also a UNT alumnus. And so I think that that's extra special that you both came from UNT and created such an incredible and recognizable brand with beautiful artwork and beautiful labels. And so I want to know more about that in just a minute, but I'm curious to know which of you in the partnership is the bro and which one's the more professional, sophisticated, let's do business kind of guy. This is really important.
You can tell by the dude wearing a shirt and a jacket who's the more sophisticated of the two of us. That's clear to see. Yeah. And
Obvious.
I'll walk you over and you'll see a man in Birkenstocks and socks and you'll know which one is the bro.
I love it. So I have to know.
In fact, I've known him for decades. I've known Steve, his name is Steve Percary. And Steve, I've known him for decades at this point. And I think I've seen him wear pants maybe, less than a handful of times. So, yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's how bro he is.
And given the current situation of our, interaction and ability to interact, I think, I've maybe worn pants a handful of times too. So I feel him, I get him. No, I'm kidding. I'm wearing pants today, guys. So we need to know though, George, this is really important. Of the better beers that you have brewed, which one are you drinking today? And which one is your favorite overall?
Well, so today behind me is our R&D system. It's a 7-barrel system. So relatively small. There's some brewers that are, make a business out of a brewery of that size. So it's sizable, but we get to do a lot of, tinkering around with new ideas or just brewing beer for just the fun of it. And we'll walk over to our bigger brewery. So today I'm drinking it's our version of a West Coast IPA. And it's really delicious, really citrusy. And I like it a lot. I don't have a name for it. Just kind of, we're intended to have a celebration right around mid-March or early March. And we had brewed, I think, like 7 different IPAs for this thing. It was going to be the Chingo Next Fest. And we had to cancel it due to COVID-19. And so we said, okay, we got to cancel that. This is not looking good. And so we have a lot of IPA hanging around. So we've been testing them here among the group, and this one seems to be rising to the top. So
how do you get invited to that group? One. How do you get invited to that group?
Stop in is what you do. Yeah, you barge in is what you do. Yeah,
I can do that
and
for
sure. Tell them you know somebody here.
I know a guy.
And then as far as the beers we brew, I love them all. I love all the kids. Especially the ones that pay the bills.
Right.
And so Local Buzz is our best-selling beer, followed by El Chingon IPA. So kind of depending on mood, it could be something as light as El Grito if I'm just going to be hanging out in backyard or mowing the lawn or something. But in the evening I'll tend to go IPA or heavier.
Okay, so did I hear you correctly that the IPA you're drinking right now is your current favorite beer?
Oh no, I mean, well, I love them all. I mean, it's like
you can't pick.
Mood. I don't. I mean, it's about mood. It's always about mood for me. It's like, what's your favorite tune? It's like, well, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So exactly.
I totally get that. So, okay, we've got a few more questions rolling in. So I want to throw another one at you. Have you seen a rise or fall recently in dark beers, stouts, and porters? Have you seen the IPA trend tail off, or is it still strong? Because I know IPA drinkers kind of get a bad rap as being, really pretentious and snobby. I like all the IPAs. I don't judge them that harshly. Yeah. So, and I guess the other thing is, how has COVID affected the business for you right now?
Okay, those are really good questions. So
a lot of good questions.
The first one is, so IPAs, yeah. So IPA is as far as a subsegment of craft, that's the biggest one. And I think what makes IPA fun is that there's so many iterations of IPA and different types of hops, and there's always innovation on hops and hop styles. I mean, we started brewing like Endeavor hops, or Simcoe was like a real kind of rock star hop, and now it's all Mosaic. And so it's just kind of just shifts on styles of beers. There's like the New England IPAs and the hazy IPAs, so it's always like this kind of fad that's been moving in and out, kind of fads, or just it's just a shift in what IPAs are all about. When we started, I mean, it was all about West Coast IPA. It's like how much hops, how much IBU can you cram into a beer, and that's kind of where, when we entered the market, that's where IPAs were. We're entering now. Now we'd be up against a bunch of a lot of citrus IPAs. So it's just a different thing. So it's a bit of a journey on its own. Just you can stick with IPAs and go on a nice little journey. What's cool about beer is that you can go and pick up 6, 7, 8 beers, kind of singles, for the same price as a bottle of wine. So you get to try a whole lot more stuff. And I think that's what keeps IPAs going. So IPAs are not slowing down, always really strong. Darker beers, man, I think they do really well for us anyway, they do really well in the winter time. But as hot as it is in North Texas, it's a tough go. We had a porter that we're really proud of. It's a delicious porter. It's Block Party Porter, and highly drinkable in the summertime. Only like 5-7% ABV, and I like it a lot. We keep it on tap here, but it was a tough one to sell, compared to with everything else out there. That's a really so it's a tough one. But what I see, some of the strategies that are out there are kind of just much bigger dark beers and barrel aged beers and that sort of thing for kind of the adventure part of it. The COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on brewers in general. We've been okay. I mean, our bread and butter is packaged beer, so beers in cans that are sold at retail, grocery stores, C-stores, and that sort of thing. So we're a little bit different from a lot of brewers who are dependent upon keg beer. And so, shut down restaurants and bars for a couple of months. I mean, a lot of them had to shift over to, selling beer, curbside, right, and keep them afloat. So hopefully they've been able to stay afloat. But for us, we've been okay. We've been blessed that we kind of made that decision to lean into the grocery store, traditional grocers or C-stores a long time ago.
I think that's really fascinating to see how you guys have been okay through this, because as a result of, the cans that you've created and the fact that you do sell them more so like this than out of a keg. And so it's funny because, in the last couple of weeks, we've talked with alumnus John Matthews, who has the winery down in South Dallas and also serves on our board. And he said, we're doing okay. Everybody's still drinking. And I said, John, of course we are. We have small children at home, man. This is scary. We're going to be okay. Exactly. No, so thank you for helping with us with our situation here at home. All right.
Happy to help.
All right. I know that we want to get over to the brewery and take a peek around there. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and kind of heading that way. And I'm going to these questions are flowing in. People are fascinated and they're really excited to talk to you.
I see the 21 chat. Yeah, that's great.
Yes. So one of the other questions, with the partners, where and when was that aha moment you could succeed with the beer making? I like that question.
Okay, so we
hold on, time out, George. Let's get the audio switched up. So we'll need to unmute. If you're just now joining us, we're sitting here talking with brewery owner George Esquivel at Four Corners Brewery, who is a UNT alumnus, and he's about to take us on a tour of the brewery. And so he's kind of switching over cameras so he can become more mobile. And talk to me now, George.
Okay, we there?
Yes, you sound great.
Perfect. It's a technological marvel that I could get this done. Okay, what was the question? We had a question?
Sure. What was your aha moment when you and Steve, correct? When you and Steve realized that, hey, we're going to be successful. We can do this. We're going to be fine. We've got a good thing going here.
Well, okay. So as home brewers, you kind of go through these phases. The first phase is you brew beer and it's just horrible. And then the second phase is, well, I could drink it. I could drink it and it's drinkable. And then you kind of get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm brewing decent beer And then the next thing you know, you have a lot of friends that just want to come over and hang out all the time. And so you know your beer is pretty good. We started entering a few beer competitions, and they're homebrew competitions. And we entered a brew competition, and we won. So we won the judges' choice, and another partner of ours, actually his team won the taster's choice. And
can I
so
ask
anyhow,
which
it was like we
that was with? What
this is called Brew Riot. Yeah, this is called Brew Riot. It was in Oak Cliff, a little bitty, it was really kind of like 6 brewers. So, but we were winners. I'll take a win anytime.
So
but
was it one beer in general, or was it overall?
We brewed 3 beers, and so it was just kind of for the best brewery. And it was a brown ale. We brewed an English brown ale that was really, really great. And we were hanging our head on that one. We had that brown ale. We had what is now Local Buzz at that time, and it was like, okay, we got really great feedback. And then we did some more digging of just, okay, let's gather some people and just taste them blind on our beer versus some beers that that are well known in market. We didn't know, blind tested, and ours were testing better. So that's kind of the marketing geek stuff in me, that said, okay, let's just test them and see what happens. And that's when I said, okay, we're brewing really good beer. And at the same time, I could look across breweries that were being what I called successful at the time, craft brewers, small brewers. And from just a marketing standpoint, I go, there's like rudimentary marketing flaws in what they're doing. And if it were mine, I would do X, Y, or Z different with it to remedy or fix, and sometimes it was design, sometimes it was communication, sometimes it was a little bit of this. So I thought that, okay, we have the brewing part that we're okay there. I think we can work the marketing piece. I know retail. We had a partner who was on the finance side of things, worked for a bank, and so it was kind of this 3-headed monster thing that we had. And then Steve's just a figure it out guy in general, and could figure out kind of the operational side of it. So that's where we started. But it was really around, it was like the confidence came with just the feedback of sampling our beers with total strangers and getting some real feedback from, instead of your brother-in-law. So I like it, man. Yeah, give me another pint. So
that's fascinating. So to go from brewing in the garage and entering small competitions to, if you want to take us over and show us this beast that you have now.
So here I've been sitting in our tap room. So our first brewery was over in West Dallas, and it was in it was a big rig shop. It was called Salazar's Muffler, and literally doing work on big rigs in there, and big cans of petrochemicals and that sort of thing, impact wrenches. It was a pretty grimy place. I wasn't a believer that we could actually produce beer there. And we got the place cleaned up and started brewing there. We were there from 2012 till 2017. And then we made a transition here over to the space that we're in. So right now I'll walk out and I'll do my best to kind of keep this all under control. We may fall out here in just a second. So walking out, this is called the stables. This used to be the horse stables back at the turn of the century.
That is
and it served as a horse stables for a hotel that unfortunately burned down about a year ago. And it was over across the street. So a historic building here in the Cedars. And we have our murals here on the wall. And there's our tap room. And I've had a lot of fun here. So this serves as tap room you can visit, but also we have weddings and that sort of thing when there's not a pandemic. And then I'll turn around here, and behind me is our main brewery.
Wow.
This served as another fix-it shop. We like fix-it shops at Four Corners Brewing. And this serves as a heavy machinery repair shop for a company that took over back in the 60s. So we'll take a walk in here.
Let's do it. I can't wait.
So it's going to be a little noisy. We have a lot of fabrication going on right now as we're installing a new conveyor system for our packaging line. So we've been really fortunate to be able to bring on the packaging lines that make make the production much easier. So we have some silos here, use a lot of grain, a lot of 2-row, and two-row malt. And then actually the spent grain goes in here because it could cause havoc, and it's really smelly in the summertime.
I bet. I bet.
So we'll take a walk in.
All right.
And
so the
so
murals.
kind of, we'll get an expanse of the place here.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So if you can kind of get a sense of some of the things going on. Here's some fermentation tanks, some bright tanks, and then over to the far side of the building. We'll go over there in just a second. Was there a question?
Several, but go ahead and tell us about these tanks. Those look massive.
Yeah, so this the brewing process starts here. So if you've never been on a brew tour, I highly encourage it. You'll learn a lot about beer, and it's actually pretty simple. I mean, there's beer. It can be as simple as 4 ingredients. So you have water and some type of grain. It could be corn, it could be barley, and malted barley, and hops would counter. So you basically have like this sugar water and a bittering agent, which would be hops, and then yeast actually converts all that concoction into beer. It actually converts sugar into alcohol, and so the process starts in. We have a 50-barrel brew house right behind me, 4 vessels, and this is a big upgrade from where we started, which was a 2-vessel 30-barrel system, and then as we walk over here, this is kind of a little bit more of the brew house up on top, and then behind me is all fermentation. So this is kind of the mojo behind any brewery. These are 200-barrel fermenters, so about 1,000 gallons of beer in each one. And so fermentation tanks. So every time you see a tank that's conical at the bottom, it's fermentation tanks. So you can regenerate yeast and use it for the next batch.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Keep on walking, and we'll get a little more noisy over here. We'll walk by some of this equipment. This is a filter, so we do filter the beers so it can be nice and bright. Filter a lot of the proteins and yeast out of the product. We're installing now a centrifuge filter that will be taking its place here soon, and that's a big step up for us. It's always fun to have new toys at the brewery.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about. And we're installing now. So it may be a little noisy over here, is a new packaging line.
Nice.
So we've had a canning system that we stepped in. There's a high-speed canner. We'll can about 150 cans a minute, but the new conveyor system will get us to a package instead of a pack tech top. So new things going on. So you're getting a sneak peek of the new canning line here at Four Corners Brewing. And then behind me are a bunch of empty cans that are ready to be filled. And then to give you a sense of, I'm not sure if you can see it behind me, is a crane, it's a 15-ton crane, kind of give you a sense of the size and magnitude of machinery they're working on in here before we took it over.
Wow, that is really, really impressive and really neat. Kind of
looking back the other way, yeah.
You're saying that once you get going and the production's working and everything, we're no longer going to have to say bad words and pry the beer cans out of the plastic thing that's on top.
That's exactly right. So let me see if we have any cartons around. We don't have any.
The little things in life.
Yeah, exactly. So so it's going to be it'll be in a carton, 6-pack to 12-packs, and allow us to do some different things, some mixed packs as well. We always get requests for those.
Yeah.
And so there we go. That's a really condensed brew tour. But we do from here. We brew, we package in kegs or in cans, and get those out to market. And
that's exciting.
We have distribution throughout Texas at this point, and Southern California.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about what's happening in Southern California and where exactly our people out in Southern California could find your brews, because I know we do have a lot of people over there.
We launched in Southern California about a year ago, and it's really LA down to San Diego. And so just trying to turn people on to our brand and what we're all about, introduce ourselves, and get some beer in hand. So it's really been difficult to get that done during a pandemic, but we hope to get out there soon. and it's a really great market. Obviously, San Diego, if you know anything about that market, it's hyper local. You know, San Diego brewers are just fantastic, highly competitive, but really fantastic brews. And then and LA, which was a surprise to me, is just really coming into its own in terms of a craft beer market. So they're much like Dallas, they're kind of behind the curve of craft beer, but catching up really, really quickly. And so just really quality brewers there, really great people. But it was our chance to get out and introduce ourselves to a whole new audience.
That's exciting. And I'm sure that, everybody that's tuning in or is on Zoom with us, they probably know somebody in the area. So guys, spread the good word, tell your friends that you can find Four Corners beers out in San Diego and LA, and enjoy responsibly, of course. So, hey, all right, George, we've got a ton of questions here, and I cannot believe it's already 4:34. So I want to be respectful of your time and everybody else's time that's tuning in with us. So first off, in fact, before we went live, I started asking you about the names for the beers, El Grito and El Chingon. And I said, El Grito, you scream. What is that about? Like, what are you screaming about? And then El Chingon, that can be interpreted a lot of ways. So can you explain yourself, sir?
Sure, absolutely. So we'll start with El Chingon. So El Chingon is loosely interpreted as kind of it's the badass, and which is IPAs are always again a big adventure, and as I explained earlier, it's like we started into this process and the West Coast was kind of the way to go, and so there were a lot of really aggressive IPAs at the time, a lot of attitude in them, and so we were kind of I said the beer fans here in Dallas were kind of poking us in the chest, like, well, why don't you have an IPA? You can't brew an IPA? What's wrong with you? What's your IPA? So we said, okay, we're going to brew it. It's going to be Chingon. We're going to call it El Chingon, and the name stuck. And we brewed it as a seasonal beer. We only brewed it, it's like, okay, let's put it in some kegs. We'll see how it works. And it really took off on us. And we've been really fortunate. It's one of our best-selling beers now. And so loved it so much, we put it on the wall. And
That's
so
awesome.
come out and take a picture by it. And matches my shirt today. Isn't that great?
It does go very nicely. All the colors, I love it. Everything looks fantastic.
Now,
all right.
the grito is always fun. So if you're ever at a Mexican wedding or a Mexican party, and you'll know that the party starts when Vicente Fernandez comes on the radio, and then everybody starts giving a grito. And so that moment has to be captured in a beer, and that's El Grito lager.
Will you demonstrate El Grito for us, or no?
I can do a grito. Yeah.
Do it.
Okay, let's see. Should I turn this down? I don't know.
No, go for it.
Okay,
blast everybody out.
I need a beer to do this. I'll go back in and grab my beer. Hold on.
This is
I knew
fun.
I'd be put on the spot. I wasn't quite sure how.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
All
so
right.
El Grito is going to go.
Teach us.
Ah! There you go. Everything's
That's
okay. Yeah.
It's all good. Everybody's fine. All right. So now friends at home that are tuning in, practice El Grito. All right. And you can scare your children or impress your friends with it at any given point. It's a fun party trick, right? All right. So we've got people asking about a mead. Are there any plans to brew a mead?
We've not brewed a mead. And
I don't know what a mead is. So can you?
Yeah, it's basically it's made with honey, and it's basically a fermented beverage. But on a honey base, and we do use honey. We use a lot of honey in our local buzz and our Super B beer. But we don't have a mead. We've never brewed a mead. We never done that. We are working on something new, which is I'll spill the beans on it. So we'll have a test of basically a kombucha, a boozy kombucha in the fall that I'm really excited about. We've been working on this for years now. And so this is going to be a lot of fun. So it's like really fruity and fizzy, refreshing, and look for that in around Labor Day, somewhere around there. I think we'll hit that timing, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of transformation happening right now in the kind of beer category, and it's a really crowded space. If you go to your beer aisle at whatever your Central Market or Total Wine or Specs or one of those, I mean, there's just a ton of beers. And what's really starting to emerge are kind of these other segments. Seltzers are the hot one right now, but I think there's a whole lot more to go there in terms of flavor profile and light, fruity, and fizzy stuff that people want to drink a lot of.
Do you think the kombucha will appeal to a lot of the cider drinkers? Would that be a good transition for the people that enjoy a cider?
I think so. I mean, I'm not a cider drinker myself. They're really dry to me, and they're really sweet, but some people love them. But I think this is it's a great alternative to it, because it's not it's not as sweet. You get a lot of flavor, and you get a lot of refreshment at the same time. The ciders I've tasted, I don't really finish a pint. I found it, but I enjoy the flavors of it, but it's just a whole lot for me to take in.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
but that's me.
And that's fine. We'll respect that and still love you for who you are. We won't, slap you on the hand for that. All right. So we've got, oh my goodness, the questions. Bear with me, guys. Here we go. Yeah. So many. This is great. I love this. All right. We asked about that one. We talked about the El Chingon. Man, Claudia, this is really, really great. I love this. Okay. Oh, I like this. Any plans to make a UNT themed beer? El Mean Verde. How do you say mean in Espanol?
El Scrapito. El Scrapito.
El Scrapito.
I love it.
Yeah.
We'll just
we brewed one. So we actually had we brewed one with some partners who are also brewers from UNT. Armadillo Ale Works is part of that. Noble Ray Brewing. And we brewed, I think it was called a Mean Green Ale. So we used like some mean green hops in the beer, and that was for the what was that? It was before the SMU game. It was several years ago. We did it. The first one we held over at the Singleton location. That
must have been when we were really successful against SMU. So you might need to bring that back.
Exactly.
Hint,
the beer helps will do it.
Right.
So we should brew another one. I think that'd be kind of fun. We can, so we have what always got in the way of that was just we were selling all that we could make, and so we didn't have room for a lot of innovation. And so this solves for that with a small system here that's behind me. We can do some of those things and kind of one off and in and out. So we'll try it. We'll try it again.
Right. So I want to talk about your artwork because it is highly recognizable. It's beautiful, it's colorful, and it jumps off at you at the shelves on the store shelves. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about the history here and how you came about such a consistent and beautiful theme that you have?
Yeah, thanks. So you start a new brand, and there's a lot of challenges, especially in the beer world. So one is how do you stand apart from a bunch of different brewers? How do you make it look like a brand family, but how does each beer tell its own little story? And we looked and had a lot of ideas around how that could come together. But if we're ever hanging around like in this area, the Oak Cliff area, West Dallas, there's a little tienditas, little stores always have the loteria games at checkout, and it's kind of ubiquitous if you grow up in a Mexican household, and you're typically playing loteria around the holidays or something, special occasions and stuff. And so it's like I looked at the board and it's like, wow, okay, that could work. I mean, they have these little icons, they have names, and we could that could be architecture. And Christy Brinkman is our designer. She's been with us since the beginning. She's designed the logo, designed all of our can artwork, and obviously if it looks like it's designed on PowerPoint, I did it. If it looks like it's professionally designed, it's from Christy Brinkman. So she's done a great job of just kind of taking that to a place that few could, and she's done a fantastic job. It is original artwork. Starts with a drawing, and then goes doesn't go to digital till it's really kind of finalized artwork. But beautiful stuff. but yeah, it was really the inspiration is loteria, which is basically Mexican bingo. If you don't know what loteria is, it's a little game board. You play it much like bingo, but instead of like B6, say la luna, the moon, and you're filling up a board. And so it works really nicely. In fact, we have, I'm not sure if you can see it right behind me. So actually I have a lighted sign that has loteria. Look, if you can see that. I'm not quite sure you can see. It's really small on my screen here.
I can see a little bit. Is everybody doing this with me?
Has some sheen. Yeah, exactly. I'll walk over. Yeah.
That's really awesome. And I also love what I also love about your cans and your artwork and the way you've packaged the whole thing is the fact that they're white, and that stands out apart from so many other beers on the shelves. So I think that that's really brilliant.
It's interesting. So when we started, brewing, and started packaging beer. So we were only in kegs for the first year, and then by 2014, we bought a packaging line, and at the time, most of the craft breweries were in glass still. So 6-packs of glass bottles, dark. So there's a lot of dark stuff on the shelf, and craft beer in a can was still a kind of a new idea. Oscar Blues had been doing it for years, putting really high quality beer in a can. And so we didn't have a problem with cans at all. And, growing up in Texas, we hang out by the tailgate or the river, and, you don't want glass around any of those places, or the pool. And so it's like, okay, if we can design a can that has like a lot of pop, a lot of color, we could really stand apart. And here we are in 2020, and everyone has this colorful cans of beer, and the ones that stand out now are like this really simple black and white and gray, muted tones. So it goes back and forth.
I feel like you're a trendsetter on so many levels here, so that's fantastic. Hey, a lot of people, including myself, I guess, are really missing the 360-degree tops and wondering if there are plans to bring that back. That's a question that we just got from Facebook. So
yeah, thanks for being to know about it means you purchased the brand before. So thank you so much. So yeah, no, those are great. Those are the 360 lids where we adopted them early. We're of the first brewers in the Southwest to take them on and to stick with them. So as we were in 2014, when we actually bought our canning line, we had the seamer heads and everything configured for those lids, and we loved them a lot. Unfortunately, our manufacturer could never get scale out of them because the lids themselves are illegal to use in all but 6 states in the U.S. because of either litter laws or environmental protection laws, where you can't discard X percentage of an original package. And so you can never use them in California, you can never use them in Colorado, kind of these big beer drinking states. So they quit manufacturing them altogether. And so we'd love to have them back. We would welcome them back in a heartbeat, but unfortunately they're gone for now.
Well, that makes sense. At least it's for a good reason and environmental purposes. So we'll respect that.
We've had some Twitter, some Twitter folks like, well, find another manufacturer, And I was like, well, we did. We searched on Ask Jeeves, and we didn't find any. So.
My gosh!
For you young folks, Ask Jeeves was like the worst search engine ever. So.
Oh my gosh, you're cracking me up. Okay. Something about going back to the IPA for just a second. And I know we're running really close on time, but as someone originally from Europe, someone wants to know, it seems that IPAs are the most prevalent beer of choice in America. Do you see any other styles of beer that maybe don't get as much attention starting to take root among U.S. drinkers?
Berliner Weiss, yeah. So really light fruity beers have come a long way, because it's just so hot here, and you can pound those beers down. They're really refreshing. So yeah, like a Berliner Weiss have come, a lot of those. Hefeweizen has always kind of been there, but it seems like they're starting to see some, more of the Hefeweizen style. so kind of these like kind of lighter German beers and sours have clearly, made their way into the dialogue where, before, about 3 to 5 years ago was all about, IPA and that sort of thing. So, and then oddly enough, it's like Mexican lagers have been kind of where craft brewers have leaned in because it's just, they're, again, it's light. So what we had was this movement of a lot of energy around heavier beers when back in kind of 10 to 12 or 2008 to 12, even to kind of 13, 14 is like, just give me a lot of radical stuff. And now it's like, okay, the pendulum is kind of moving the other way. Okay, give me some really great tasting and well-balanced lighter stuff is kind of where we're at. Even IPAs, I mean, it's like session IPAs are what, a lot of the brewers who, traditionally, brewing, West Coast style IPAs, that's where they've been. It's like, okay, now it's like sessionable IPAs, 4.5% IPAs.
Yeah, those IPAs will sneak up on you, so you've got to be careful for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy for me to get over my two-chingon limit.
Sorry, I had to mute myself. Apparently Amazon likes to deliver whenever, I'm trying to do this. So bear with me for a second. I'm sorry, guys.
All good.
There's one more question out there that we'll touch on very quickly because it's 4:50 and we want to get you out of here. How has your background in storytelling filtered into how you've positioned Four Corners, the names, the colors, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all about storytelling. I believe, I've always believed in, it's once we got, there was a time probably back in like the 80s to 90s where you could call it your kind of your big marketed beers. I mean, I won't name names, but you could park your big American, light lagers, right. Put that on a table and put a craft beer next to it. And there was a very clear and distinct difference. And then you could take, even with your craft brewers, you could take, some beers brewed by craft brewers and park them side by side and know that there was a clear difference in quality and balance and that sort of thing. What's happened is, through education and through ingredients and the ability to have them more readily available, and then also technology, there's quality beer, there's high quality beer like everywhere you go. So that's why I love visiting new cities, and that's where they just kind of check out the beer scene on top of food scene and that sort of thing. But all that to say is, at this point, there's fantastic beer all over the place. So beer quality is kind of par for the course at this point. You better be brewing good beer as a brewer. It's just, and then the consumers know, they know a bad one when they taste it, right? So after that, it's kind of just preference on style. But so then what else is there, right? If quality of beer is par for the course, and it's all about everything else. It's your packaging, it's the storytelling, it's how you position the brand, it's how you connect with people, social media space or one-on-one. But that's to me, that's where the difference is really made. And I think prior there were okay quality beers that were doing great, and I think you've seen some of those kind of fall by the wayside, and then you've seen the impact that it has on kind of your big marketed beers. It's like, okay, the beer is okay, but your story changes every month depending on what the hot thing is. So story, origin, and I don't know, I look at it like the food scene. It's like, we want to know what's in our food. We want to know where it comes from, how it's sourced, who's cooking it. Yeah. Right. And so exactly. It's much, no difference here. It's there's a lot of information that we got to push out.
For sure. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, George, so much for your time. This has been.
We're done? That's
Oh
it?
my gosh, it's already like we're
It's
done.
already almost time. We're
You're
done.
All right.
We've had a lot of fun. This has just been really fascinating. I've learned a lot and I've laughed a lot, and that's been fantastic. So we can't thank you enough for your time, and we're excited to continue to follow your story and your journey and continue to support you along the way, because we know that, you know, you're only going to continue to do amazing things. So we're very excited for you.
Well,
And
for those who took time out of their day to listen to this, thanks a lot. That's really nice. And go Mean Green, support your school. We need you. And you're doing it by hanging on here. And stop by and visit us. We're going to be opening again, kind of slowly, but steadily and safely as we can, starting on the June 4th. So if you're in the area, stop on by and come have a pint.
Absolutely. And also, if you want to go ahead and mention that you've got a movie series coming up as well. Is it June 7th? Is that right, George?
The first one is June 3rd, and that's by tickets. So you can check out on our Facebook, or you can follow the Dallas International Film Festival, DIF, and there's details there. Yeah, don't ask me details at the moment, but
Awesome.
yeah, we're going to be doing it, and we'll have one every month through summer, and it'll be fun to just welcome people, have a drive-in movie.
That'll be
Yay.
exciting. So thank you again, and